be able to record now.
Yep, it's recording. Okay, Allie.
I'm kind of in the same boat as Abby. It's just like Metro has like been in school and everything's been normal, kind of. So it's just like really weird because some things are completely normal and then some things are just like not. And everything's changing every day. So I think it's just like there's a lot of like flexibility involved. Like you don't really have a say in anything. It's just whatever they tell you the next day, you have to do it.
Awesome. Ava.
Booker T classes actually started first yesterday. So everything's going fine, but just I have to get back into the I have to get back to knowing how to use Canvas because I kind of forgot. So just balancing TCC classes because I've never taken like college classes, and then now trying to balance like senior year.
Baron.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat with Ava. I'm taking 2 TCC classes, so just trying to balance those on top of doing school fully online is going to be quite a bit, I think, to get used to.
Britton.
I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited that school is going back in person next week. Yeah.
Daisy.
I'm also excited to be going back. I'm not looking forward to be wearing a mask for like 6 hours, because they annoy me so much, but like obviously I know I have to wear one. But I kind of like online, but I also just like want to see people, so.
Daniel.
I was honestly starting to like the online school. I was feeling really laid back and I could just get everything done at my own pace. It was just nice because I could work on like college apps and stuff, but I'm excited to do the fun stuff for senior year and at least see my friends. So that's it.
The next on the list is Emily, but have your kids started school? If so, is it better?
Thanks for including me. The twins are in school and Ella starts on Tuesday. She's going to a school called Regent, and so their kindergarten doesn't start till after Labor Day. But I'm pretty pumped, guys. That means I'm gonna have 2 5-hour chunks alone. And I know that doesn't sound like much, but the quarantine has not been boring for us. It has been very busy. So I am like ready to go. Pretty pumped about school.
Graham.
Yeah, I'm like Parrish. I go to Booker T, so we're online for the next 9 weeks. It is very laid back. I can get a lot of work done, like college app, because on Wednesdays we have like no mandatory Zoom meetings. So I do like the more college-oriented kind of schedule. It's pretty nice.
Karen.
Yeah, so at Union, I mean, it's in person, so everything's just kind of normal, except for the part that people are wearing masks, and like we can't do like any like group activities, and everything's just on the computer. But yeah, it's pretty normal.
Kylie.
I'm really excited about online. It really works with I like the flexibility in my schedule, so it's been nice to be able to organize my classes the way that I kind of want them. But with school starting, football is also starting, and so I'm not sure what that's going to look like, and it's kind of making me a little bit nervous, but we have a game tonight, so I'll see what it's like, I guess.
Maya.
I've kind of liked virtual. I like how flexible it is and that like I can work and stuff during the day, like I'm nannying right now. So that's really nice, and like getting time to work on like college stuff. I like, but I'm also excited to like be going back pretty soon.
Michael. Can't hear you, Michael. No, just work about it. Okay. Miller?
Yeah, so Kasha, we only go to school twice a week, but it's really allowed me to appreciate those 2 days a week that we do go to school, because I really don't like online school, but the 2 days are nice.
Nina?
We started school this week. It's been interesting to say the least. We're in person and like our schedules have like completely changed. We used to have 45-minute classes, but now we have 4 hour-and-a-half classes every day. So that's a bit of an adjustment for us. We've like never have done that ever. And so the seniors are a little bit upset and just we haven't been able to do a lot of like fun senior things yet. So it's just kind of been a little stressful on that, but hopefully the year will go better.
Parrish?
I like the social aspect of school, so I don't like that for being online. But in the situation that we're in right now, I think online is the best thing that we could be doing. I was very good about like being in my like own little social bubble, and I wasn't really going out. I wasn't going to any parties. I wasn't seeing people. I wasn't around all the time. I pretty much just see Graham every other day or so, and that's my bit of social like engagement. But beyond that, like the couple events that Booker T has had, we've had COVID positive people show up. So I think actually doing things in person is not the smartest idea right now. So I appreciate and I like respect the online school, but I don't like, really enjoy it.
Can you hear me with my mask on?
Yeah, it's a little different.
Okay. Peyton?
So at Cassia, we've been doing hybrid school, and I actually really like it, kind of, because we kind of get time to like do work at our own pace and not have to be at school for 7 hours a day. And like some teachers do their classes online, which sucks, but also, I mean, I don't know, I've kind of liked it. It's been a nice way to like switch things up.
Okay, Victor.
As the other drinks people said, we're going back to school next Thursday, and part of me is excited for it because, like, obviously getting to see people, but I am like concerned about like students wearing their masks, not goofing around. Like, I feel like we're kind of rushing it maybe a little bit, but at the same time, it could be necessary because I've heard like there's concerns about like funding and stuff like that. So I guess I'll just go with it and I'll try to stay as safe as possible.
Awesome. I think that's everybody. Has everyone gone yet? Okay, cool. So the next item on the agenda is going over the focus and meaningful outcome on our agenda. So I'll go ahead and screen share that real quick. So let's just read this focus together so we all know why we're having this meeting today and why it matters. So for today, we're going to explore current events and how politics have shifted over the past 6 months. And we're going to need to focus on our project's purpose and revisit what we're trying to accomplish. And then meaningful progress today would look like finding clarity on what our project will be. That's not like something set in stone. That's just like some things that Edie and I came up with. But like really the goal is for today is to analyze like what has like changed in politics over the past 6 months and how that will have to affect our project. And so like possibly how our project might change. I don't want to spook you, but like it will change a little bit to reflect some of the things that are going on. So now I'm going to stop the share. And we're going to go into our mini group discussion questions. So actually maybe I should share this again. Oh, I just realized I shared like the master agenda that's like super messy with all the comments on it. Oopsies. So we're gonna have some mini group discussion questions just to like kind of prompt your thinking on what I just talked about. And so I'm going to send you all to your breakout rooms, but here are the 2 questions that you guys should be discussing in your breakout rooms. We'll give you like 15 minutes to talk about it. And I'll send them again in the chat. So if you forget, that that's fine. But also, this is a moment where we'd all like you to get onto Miro if you've got a computer and head over to the September 4th, 2020 discussion board. And basically, there are little spaces. Okay, now I'll share my screen now. Yeah, so head over to the Miro board, and there's spaces. If you click on the frames button right here in the bottom left corner, you can scroll down to the very bottom and click on this discussion board. And then you'll have the questions right here, actually. That's great. So you don't even have to remember them. And then you just go to your group and start typing or like putting sticky notes or something here while you're talking and just like putting some stuff down and writing too. So yeah, I will send you guys to the breakout rooms and we'll have about.
Does anybody have any questions before we go?
Oh, right.
Are we feel clear about what we're doing?
All right, awesome. I will send you guys to your breakout rooms right now then. And if you have any questions, I think I made it, just say something in like Basecamp or something and I'll see it, so.
Yeah.
All right. So.
Wait, how do I get to the frames?
What do you say?
How do I get to the frames? Or am I on the right?
Well, mine's loading up.
Okay.
Are you finding it, Baron?
Yeah, it's loading in right now.
Yeah, when it loads in, what I do is I zoom out and I can see the whole board and you'll see where everybody else is and you can just kind of head in that direction.
Oh yeah, everyone's in the bottom left.
Whoever's talking, I cannot hear you at all. It sounded metallic.
Yeah, I can't hear you at all either.
Who was that? Was that Maya?
I think it is Maya.
Yeah, Maya, you might need to type in chat. And also, when you spoke earlier when we were going around, it was hard to hear you too. So you probably need to look at what your connection's like and see if there's a way to enhance that so your audio's smoother. But yeah, why don't you guys go ahead and take your mics off mute and go ahead and go ahead and discuss the questions. I'll kind of I actually am gonna be. I'll just go off mute and off video because I actually have to do a few things. So I'll turn it back over to you guys.
All right, let's go. Okay, that's good.
Okay, question 1. What has changed politically in the past 6 months? I think definitely we could say like how harsh the political environment has become due to it being an election year.
That's true. You can write that down. Here. Let me figure out how to make a text box. Right here.
Yeah, throw.
How do you?
Oh wait, I think I got it.
Okay, yeah, you got it. I think.
Wait, let me
So many like buttons on the bottom and side. Oh, okay, it's all on the left side. Wait, no, that's not it. That's a sticky note.
let me increase. Oh, here we go.
Did you get that? How did you make that text box? Where was it?
To the left side, there's a thing that says text.
Oh, okay, I see it.
Kind of like grab it.
Got it. You can just put multiple things in that text box if you want, and then I'll.
Okay, yeah, if you all just want to list off stuff.
Yeah, because this one can be for 2. Okay.
Oh, I wonder if I need
I mean, for political, I mean, there have been a lot of like social movements going on, which has like influenced political, I guess, people. Okay.
Okay, wait, what'd you say, Daniel?
All the social issues happening now are influencing the political situation.
Yeah. That's a good one.
All right, guys, I'm going to chime in real quick, all right, because to me, this is like low-hanging fruit question. I mean, we have probably the greatest amount of political disparity that easily in your lifetimes and in my lifetime, and I'm 50 years old, okay? We have an impeached president who is basically embattled, and we have a big contention over whether or not votes will count this year. We have increased reports of meddling in our elections from foreign countries. We have from within people casting doubt on our own institutions of intelligence. We have political unrest. We have violence. We have a spate of highly visible, at least, police killings of citizens. You know, like the economy, you know, and politics around that. So I mean, whew, you guys, like it should be like I'm surprised that you guys were like, well, you know, there's a little bit of this going on and a little bit of that. Any reactions to that?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, honestly, the economy is a big one, especially with all the COVID stuff happening. All the people have ties to the economy, and so let's see.
Which states are getting help, which ones aren't. Democratic cities are doing, or states are doing this way, and Republican run states are doing that way, and Democrat cities are doing this. I mean, and you know, and it's and then it's starting to affect college campus life, which then affects you all as well in terms of your future. And what does it mean? Am I taking the SAT? Am I not taking the ACT or whatever the test is? Am I going, you know, is college on or is it on? How much does college cost? Is it what it costs now, or is it what students are protesting saying it shouldn't cost the same since we're not getting the same thing? There's so many ways this is, you know, and the politics is shaping all of these things as well. Because we're not having people seeking alignment. The whole thing is to seek separation so that you have to understand why this is. If I seek cooperation, then I can't infuriate my base to vote. In fact, if I seek cooperation, I will infuriate my base to vote against me. My base wants me to fight, and I'm telling them, why do they want me to fight? Because I'm telling them as a politician, we have to fight. And so they want me to fight, so we have to fight. And then everything is being affected from it. We cannot make decisions politically. I mean, I'm sorry, I went to go and fix my breakfast because I'm having problems doing that, but this is more important.
All right, good. Let's get all this written down.
Well, those are my answers. I mean, you should be really suspicious and question, well, is Adam making sense? Is Adam also, you know, blowing things out of proportion? You know, and so you decide these are your answers. I kind of just said what I thought, but I wouldn't share those, you know. I'm just trying to spark you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the economic one is a big thing. So.
Yeah, we definitely need to put that down. And I think we could just say something of how, like, kind of like what Adam was saying, like how much, like, just our world has changed in just this year, and how, yeah, like this giant virus that has just exploded all over the world, and how much it's changed how people think and act, and yeah.
What's something else we can add? Karen or Maya, anything? You have anything you want to add?
Okay, wait, are we still answering number one?
One or two, whatever you think. You see anything?
So yeah, definitely for number two, just like probably like making sure that like what we're teaching, like we all know, like we teach what's going on and everything. And then definitely we have to think about what we're gonna do, like with COVID. Like, how are we gonna move forward? Because if nothing gets better, then we can't be doing things in person anymore.
Yeah, how likely is going to be an in-person? How likely is an in-person simulation to happen?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not
So
gonna be.
Where we can. No, I can't make a text.
What's the question?
Let's say adapting our simulation to simulation.
It kind of also says, what in light of our current political situation. So I think it's going to be, especially with an election coming up and obviously everything that's happened in 2020, I think we need to definitely
what can
make
we
sure
do about this
there's. What'd you say?
So what can we teach them about this election?
Honestly, like how much their vote like matters.
Okay.
Maybe like show how everyone voting does truly have an influence and that your vote does matter, and yeah.
Maybe like showing how to vote, because I know it's going to be different this year because of Corona, like mailing the votes and everything. So maybe just showing how we can do that.
Sure. You might write that one down.
Yeah, write that one down.
What about demanding that people protect your vote, that the people who are supposed to, I mean, what about demanding that you have the right to vote, that it's available to you and demanding it? I mean, not politely asking.
So informing like teens about their like constitutional rights and letting them
No, but I mean, I'm saying get the teens going to the politicians.
Do you mean like how to like contact your legislator and like what to do?
I mean, whoever's in charge of the vote, like who's in charge of your schools, that if the schools were broken, you'd be pounding on their door saying you fix the schools because we need a school. Or if the fire department's not working, you bang on the door and you say, where's the fire department? Why is it broke? And then if someone's taking your vote away from you, you bang on the door and you say, you better put this vote in place because it was there for a reason. And if you really understand the reason we vote, you'll put it in place to save yourselves. To save yourselves, you will put the vote in place. You will make sure the vote's in place because that's why it's there.
All right. Yeah.
And that you guys need to tap into that, and you need to remember, you need to get to the history that the rest of us have forgotten.
Okay, now they're all going to be coming back soon. All right, now that everyone's back, here are the instructions for the debriefing. So usually we all get back into this big room and then we talk about it, and then there are like moments of really awkward silence because, you know, it's kind of nerve-wracking to talk in front of like 20 other people. Emily, you can just take a screenshot. But yeah, so what we decided this time is to make that like a little easier on some people and instead like foster like more actual conversation, because especially in a big group, you know, sometimes you might have, oh, my advance is waiting. Okay.
Where is that? Wait, time out. Where is everybody?
Can you not see them? They're all in the,
a lot of people had classes, so I think they were just going to come into the Zoom meeting when they could.
There were a couple of people that were here when we started and they had to pop off to jump into a class, and then they're coming back.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
I also think for the TPS students, since this is only their second day of class, like it was some of them, it's like the first time that class is meeting, so they have to show up.
Yeah, that's totally understandable. So back to the debriefing. So, you know, whenever we're all in a big group, only one person can talk at a time, so less overall conversation is happening. So what we decided to do is still debrief, but instead we're going to be splitting it up into like 2 debriefing groups. So we're going to put you guys back into groups with these, but this time it's going to be like two of the groups combined. So like maybe group 1 and group 2 would be the same, and they'd be debriefing together. Group 3 and group 4 would be debriefing together. So just give me a second while I organize these rooms. And then
I think a productive way to be like to share is so everyone gets to share, like everyone read your own bullet point or sticky note so that like you're sharing your ideas and you're conveying them the best way that you can, rather than just one person trying to read all of them for you and maybe misreading it.
all right, yeah, so I will send you guys all to your breakout rooms now. We kind of had a little area for the debriefing notes, but feel free to just take notes on like your group 1 or your group 2, your group 3 like box as well. All right, let's all head to our breakout rooms.
Well, who wants to start?
I'll start. Unless someone else wants to start. I don't want to. We good? Okay. Let's see. So I was part of. Jeez. I was part of group 2, and they just said to read off our bullet points. So the question was, how have politics changed in 6 months? And I said that people are more open to changing like long-standing institutions because criminal justice is kind of being questioned / uprooted. The education system, it's like really wacky right now. And people are kind of questioning like systems that have been in place for a long time and asking how can we change those because things are already kind of in a state of change right now. So I just said there's more of a change mindset.
Yep, cool. I'll go next. I was in group 1. I kind of had these top 2 bullet points. I kind of said how harsh the political environment has become due to it being an election year and everything that has happened in 2020 with shootings and COVID, everything. And I said all the social issues that have happened and how they influence the political field.
I was kind of talking about how like in light of the election and COVID, there's a lot more focus on like the media because like we can't have like rallies or debates or anything. So a lot more of it is just focused on like what you see on social media or on the news and not so much like in-person facts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was in group 2 with Peyton, and I also brought up the thing about the criminal justice system, and I think when we look at question 2, the thought I'm having is like since the last time we met, so much has happened that we don't even have in our videos and profiles. Like we don't even have a thought of that, and so just like thinking about like all these rapid events, what that means for our projects, that we might have to rethink like the viability of what we're doing right now, because we're going to have to update it so often, and like a lot of new things are going to happen that we might not have. And so like basically what I'm saying is like the past 6 months, like the speed of which like new events are happening and how like big they're getting so quickly, like that might make our project, it makes it extremely important that we like get going soon, but it also means like it's going to be weird like how often we have to like update it.
Okay, I was in group 1, Derek, if you want to go that way. So Adam helped us bring light to like, I didn't even think about it, that how the economic situation would influence like the political situation and how like the downturn and crash could affect how different politicians like choose and like legislate certain things, and like how they help different cities and like Democrat, Republican, the difference, and how that'll affect each city and throughout the country.
Yeah, that's a big issue too.
I was in group 2. I kind of talked about how parties are fighting over things that shouldn't be party issues, like especially with like a lot of the COVID stuff, in my opinion. Also, I like went back to what someone else said about it being polarized. Everything's just kind of like tensions are just like really high right now because of the election year and like also the huge social issues that are happening.
For sure. Well, let's see. Stored gear for how much? So yeah, so I think we've talked a lot about what has changed politically in the past 6 months, and general message is that it's like rapidly changing and lots of like topics that are like becoming prevalent, and maybe some like our political system is like a little messed up because they're like talking about things that we don't need them to be talking about. The media is like in so much control right now because we can't see like presidents debate. But also some good things, like people are more willing to change their mindset. So in light of all of those things, oh, and I also totally just ignore this stuff. But yeah, so it's like the political environment's really harsh right now, as we saw. Yeah, and then like economic downturn. So that's affecting what politicians are doing. So in light of all of these things, now would you guys want to share how we're going to move, or how you guys feel like we should move forward with our project?
Gosh, I definitely think like the issues that we pick and stuff are gonna have to be almost like somewhat sensitive due to like, because I think if we get like a really like either super left or super right issue, that could cause some ugly debates. And I think we need to make sure that our project isn't like what's called like influenced in either way.
What I'm kind of thinking is, so if we want our project to be like sustainable, and we also want to avoid having to be overly like cautious on making sure we're not biased or anything, do you think maybe it'd make more sense to focus more on like maybe not concrete profiles, because we can see that these topics are changing so fast, and instead focus maybe on like how things like how to have an argument with someone, or how to like respectfully, you know, just discuss something with someone who has a different opinion, like things like that that are more applicable no matter what the political environment is, rather than just specific things that are subject to change after we move on from the project. Because I feel like that's more sustainable and maybe even more useful, because you can look up these things if you really want to, but you can't find anything about how to, you know, how to like handle politics, I guess.
Adding off of what Peyton said, I completely agree with like the more universal focus about how like things that are like going to be important no matter what year it is, no matter like what is going on with current events. And like we can definitely still talk about what's going on right now, because like things like COVID and like criminal justice are so important. We can't just avoid that. But like teaching teens like maybe like specific things that like we have to offer. So like we can like give advice on like what you can do, like especially being a teen in Tulsa, for example, like what resources they can reach out to, what like communities they should be looking at, what like things they should be learning about. And so that way we can make our project less like something that you could easily replace with like a Google search about what is immigration, like what's going on with immigration right now. And instead make it like something that we're catering to their specific needs.
I like that.
I would also say there are still like some issues like that are kind of in the profiles right now that are things that don't change and don't go away. Like they'll change, but like the like basis of them will stay the same. So like the difference between like parties and then like ideologies, like that kind of thing, because those words are tossed around so often in the media. And people don't really know what they're actually saying whenever they use the words. So like teaching the difference between like liberal and the left, and then like conservative and the right, and like all that, like all the just like the vocabulary and the language that's used.
Awesome. Yeah, so these are all methods, or like maybe ways that we could tweak our project. But from what it sounds like, we've only got a couple minutes left, but so from like your responses so far, it sounds like an overhaul is not what you're looking for, and also it is kind of right here too. Starting from scratch is not a great idea. So you guys like want to keep, okay, so like what actually, so now that I've said that, first of all, do you agree? And then also, what about like starting from scratch or like overhauls, like do you not like? So for example, like, is it the profiles? We spent all this effort on profiles and that's why I don't want to start over. Or is it like, we spent all this time coming up to this idea that we currently have and that's why I don't want to start over? Or is it just like, I don't want to start over because I feel like what we have is okay? I'd just like to hear your thoughts on that too.
And yeah, and just real quick, I mean, are we talking about starting over necessarily? Or are we talking about?
No.
Yeah, okay.
I was just like saying like the vibe that I'm getting, and also what people have been saying too, is that we don't want to start over, and I just would like to know the reasons why. So like, if we were to tweak some of those things, like, you know, if everyone said the reason why I don't want to start over is because.
Well, hold on. I just don't know why we're using the term start over. What does start over mean? I don't think that's what we were talking about. I mean, what we're talking about is revisiting our purpose in light of the current, of just the rapid changes that have happened in the 6 months. If you guys had a business and you didn't factor in the changes to your business that are happening right now, that would be foolish. If you had a family and you were the head of a family and you were running your family and you didn't factor in what's going on over these last, 6 months, year, whatever, then it would be foolish. It'd be an oversight. And so for your project, it's the same thing. It'd be like, hey, a lot's happened since we even left for the summer, and how does that shape our project? Because if we're going to go in the way we were doing things, would we still be relevant, or are we irrelevant now? And that's the question I think Derek's asking. It's not like, do we start over? It's, do we persist in what we were doing before without at all factoring in? Or do we factor in what we've been doing and openly look at how it should inform our project? Does that, because I don't know that starting over, because I don't know that term.
I like that a lot better. Yeah, that's a lot better. Thanks, Adam, for correcting my language.
No, I like that idea. I think we do need to adapt. We need to adapt to what's happening, and obviously with the election coming up. So I do think we need to bring in some of those factors to our project.
I do want to say too, Baron, on that point, all of you, I don't want to be alarmist, okay? Because that's not my style, but I'm alarmed. Because in my lifetime, only once did we not know the winner of the election on election night. That was Gore and Bush. And that had to be settled through the Supreme Court. That was at a time when there was a lot more, it wasn't a time of political calm, but it was not nearly what it's like now, okay? And then we didn't have coronavirus, so people could vote normally. Now we're not voting normally. Also now, I don't ever remember having to have a conversation of like, should we passively let other countries interfere with our election system? Never has that even been a discussion of like, well, could we even believe if that's true? I don't know if it's even true. When all of the intelligence agencies of the country say it is. So either the intelligence agencies are vastly, vastly uninformed, or there's something else going on. And so I'm just saying, that's where we're at, because when on election day in November, we are not going to know who won. And don't expect us to know the week after, or the week after, or the week after. And as all those weeks are playing out, do not expect people to calmly come together to say, let's have an objective view of counting what should be counted. Nope, it's going to be what you're hearing in the political tone. It's not changing come election day. And a lot of us are just hoping it goes away and just fixes itself. But we're going to, on election day and for the weeks after, have a political crisis because we won't know who should be in the White House. I'm just going to pause there because I don't know anything after that.
Well, since Derek asked what we should do with our project, and after listening to what Adam said about how like we're living in a current like something completely new, so with the work we've already done, like the profiles and like thinking about scripts for videos, I think we should keep that, but we should update it with like what Adam said, like the newer stuff that's specific to our generation. And then when we're thinking about kind of the newer side of things, we should try to create, like, I don't think we've done very much work on like the opinion formation part. And so that's something that we need to we need to start on.
So these are all good notes, everyone. Where do you guys think we are in this discussion though? Like, is it, well, actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pop into another group to see how the other group is doing, but continue on with your discussion. I'll be back though. Okay, never mind. I think you just said the other group is ready to come back too. So I think this is all good information and like good reflection on like what the situation is and how that might impact our project. So this is not the end of the conversation by any means. We're definitely going to talk about this more later in the meeting, but now I think we're going to move on to our team building activity. So I will send everyone back to the main room. So see you guys there. Okay, welcome back everyone. So now we are moving on to the team building exercise. Is Edie back yet? Yes, you are. Do you want to get us started on the instructions or would you want me to explain it?
I can help. Oh, Adam.
Hold on, stop. I wanna first see, like, before we transition to the next thing, I'd like us to just kind of get a sense of what we just did, what it means, what we want to do with it. You know, did it rate? I want to debrief that. And if we're trying to stick to a schedule, I totally get that. But I want to at least have a few minutes to just, you know, kind of coordinate on what we did, what we talked about, and what it means.
Yeah, we're flexible. Let's do it.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
definitely wanted to debrief that. So if a couple people from each of the 2 breakout rooms want to share a couple thoughts about what you talked about together, go for it.
In our group, we talked about like obviously how it's like the political landscape has like changed in the last 6 months, and Adam talked about like how we really need to adapt because so much is going on, and there's basically we decided that we can't like just go on like nothing has happened because we need to adapt our project to fit the needs of like what we're trying to do.
Awesome.
I think there's a list of things like labeled personal testimonies. I don't know if that was for the other group, if that were like basically your notes. Yeah, so,
I'll touch on that.
You want me to share the screen so everyone can see that?
Yeah, that'd be great, actually. So we kind of talked a lot about zooming in on our project and like maybe focusing more on local government and how we can make an impact locally, which maybe that's like wasn't our initial idea, but it's just as important and we're still making a change. So I kind of mentioned reaching out to our legislators and like finding a way for teams to be able to communicate like with people in the government and make a positive change. Emily brought up the idea of reaching out to people who are involved in local politics, whether it's like have a position or just have been involved in rallies, or like protests, or just in like student government in universities, and having them share their own stories or their own personal testimonies about like how they're involved. And Emily made this point that I can definitely agree that like hearing stories about others, especially young people that you can relate to, can help encourage you to get involved, and like seeing the ways that they're getting involved to be like, okay, I can do that too. So that's my scoop on what we talked about. But anyone else from my group, feel free to share.
Okay, what about someone from the combination of group 1 and group 2? Would you like to talk a little bit about this text box?
Come on.
We kind of talked about how we would need, like, with what's happened in the last 6 months. We kind of touched on the topic of if we should adapt our project, and we kind of came to the conclusion that we think it would be a good idea to. We do think we need to keep kind of what we've done, but we should update some stuff with our like specific to our age and our generation.
Yeah, cool. So, Adam, what do you think of that debriefing? Should we get a little deeper, or?
Yeah, I think it's good. I know. I guess what I'm feeling is that you guys are really calm about it, but we're going to be heading into an election. Things are uncertain, and there won't be resolution after on election day. And there will be, we should be thinking about that at least, at least getting people, just mindful about that. But also I would connect what you guys just talked about. This is what I would do, and maybe not right now. I'd say let's move on to the team building, but I would also connect what the conversation we just had to the purpose of the cohort's purpose statement, and then just see, in light of what you were talking about in your 2 breakout groups, what does that say in regards to your purpose? Does it inform your purpose, or how does your purpose inform what to do in response to the increasing political tensions? Because I think that's what I want to be clear about with you all, because this is a very it's a very unusual time, and I don't know that that enough people, that the adults would be taking enough leadership, that they're even understanding what's going on, or that they're too shell-shocked to even understand the political realities of what's going on. Because the political realities, while they're happening, that's a full-time job. I could tell you, just trying to stay in touch with what's going on takes a lot of time. Nobody has. But then there's economic realities, and they're separate, but then they're also enmeshed with political. So, and then there's health, the community health realities, and just how that affects the normal discourse of everyday life. Everyday life is very different. Traffic patterns are different. Shopping patterns are different. It's the way we socialize, the way we experience our faith, the way we experience entertainment, the way people would used to come together in public spaces. All of it is vastly, vastly, vastly different. And the way you're going to school is different. And I feel as though the way we're talking about it, there's a certain shell-shockedness or detachedness out of probably safety, out of preserving your own, you got to stay detached from what's going on. But then if we're going to do a project that is going to be meaningful, we have to factor those things in. And so really what it comes down to is your individual engagement. Truly, whatever we decide to do, where are you as an individual on this issue? Do you not care? Are you just letting it ride out? Are you yourself detached for your own, to kind of keep your own mental health in check for some balance? So we need to see how we're engaging before we try to even affect, or to get clear on how we can affect how other teens are engaging. You are the population you're trying to change. That's one of the strengths of YPI. How are you responding to it? That's what that conversation was meant to pull out. And my concern, and I messaged them and Emily privately. I said, I'm concerned that maybe you all aren't, as aware enough of what the reality is. So that could be, it could be unfair to you all to have you do something if you all are still struggling with wrapping your own mind around what is going on and what is happening. So, it's real. What I'm saying is it's real. And what I'm saying is this project is real, and your chance to do something about it is real. but how are we experiencing it ourselves and making sense of it? That to me is where it all begins, because it begins with your own engagement on this topic. That's going to affect how the project goes from here. So that's my reaction or sense of where we're at into the discussion so far.
Yeah, thank you, Adam. I'm going to touch on that later when we talk about like what to do between now and the next meeting, because I think that's a really important thing to think about and maybe write down about how you're engaged.
Awesome. So speaking of engagement, our team building exercise is somewhat related to that. So it's called Elephants. And basically, if you would like to explain, but it's kind of like addressing like the elephants in the room, and like kind of what would be holding us back from, you know, like things like properly engaging, like what Adam was talking about. So Edie, would you like to discuss the instructions while I set up the breakout rooms real quick?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we're going to break up into 3 groups. So basically, you're going to try to come up with like 3, I mean, I don't know, as many as you can, but elephants in the room. So any obstacles or problems that the team faces. And then after we do that, address each elephant by identifying whether, they call it CIA, so control, influence, accept. So any issues that the participants have control over, what we can influence, and then what we can accept. So any like conflicts or maybe something that like is obvious about the energy of our cohort, like can we accept that? Can we control that, or can we influence that? So you kind of, we'll talk about it in the groups about where you think it should go. And I have a frame on Miro. It's called like elephants in the room, I think. But there's 3 boxes for the groups, and then at the end we'll kind of go over what, like which CIRA, like which one's in which, and then at the end we'll tackle the CNI, so the control over and influence, like the ones that we need to work on, and then we'll answer the 4 W's. So why are we doing this, or why is it happening? What are we going to do about it? Who can resolve it? And when can we resolve this issue? So that's a lot to take in, but we'll go to our breakout rooms. We'll talk about our conflicts or what's in the way, identify whether they're CIA, and then we'll come back together and talk about the 4 W's. So if that makes sense, thumbs up. And
so Edie, just to clarify, the groups are identifying like issues, obstacles, like team dynamic type stuff, or project type stuff, or group culture, like
I mean,
issues related to cohort 12.
Yeah, it can be about group dynamic. It can be something, maybe an obstacle you're facing, which guarantees something that you're facing in YPI might be something someone else is facing too. It can be about the project. Just, talk about it. Like, don't just put one word. Like, make sure you can be able to elaborate, like, why it's a conflict. And if you can accept it and it's not going to get in the way, then that's okay. But if it's something that you have control over or that you can influence, we'll talk about that too.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Awesome. So I do have the breakout rooms ready now. So I will send everyone to their rooms. If you have any questions, either I, Adam, or Emily or Edie will be in the room. So like, if you have Adam, he's the one who doesn't have Edie or me. Adam, just like text me and then I can like hop in your room and clarify something if need be. So everyone head to your breakout rooms.
Hey guys, I'm going to go on mute and turn my video off because I don't want to distract it. I'm just going to be listening. So, I'm not going to be facilitating or moderating. So.
What are some elephants, I guess?
Guess I'll start with an easy one. It seems really impossible that we get our project done in the way that we want it at this point, but I'm sure we will. But it just seems like we have a lot to do with not a lot of time.
So they're like completing our project in the time that we have.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
And do we need to like identify whether that's like do we have to answer the 4 W's thing about that?
I think we answer that at the very end.
Okay.
Like with our whole group.
CIA thing.
Another one might be just like, I don't know, like the productivity, maybe like the group productivity with us being in like distanced. I don't know.
Great.
I guess that kind of adds on to completing our project.
/ engagement.
What'd you say, Nana?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, productivity / engagement.
There we go.
Yeah, we can say, yeah, productivity / engagement because of distance.
Yeah.
I guess maybe like making it unique from other projects that have like a similar kind of goal.
Okay.
Britton, were you saying something? You like cut out.
Yeah, I can.
I think maybe like kind of a lack of clarity on like kind of where we're going with the project.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
I guess that kind of goes with like what direction we need to go to. I know there was like some conversation about like we add more or like shift kind of like the topics that we're discussing, or if we like kind of focus on a more local level than national level. So like kind of figuring out what direction
we want to go in.
Yeah, and just
like
you said, like local versus national, figuring out like the scale of our project too.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I do like that because I think we need to kind of slim down some stuff.
Mm-hmm. What else?
Well, this is kind of like specific to some of the, I'm blanking on what they're called, but like for as far as like partners and stuff, we're not very like far along in the process just because we don't really like know really what we're doing right now. So I guess it's kind of a domino thing, but we don't have much of a start on partners.
Should I say like
as well as like
domino effect?
Do what?
Should I say like partnership domino effect?
You can also say like PR as well because we can't really publicize it if we don't have anything.
Yeah. It's a big one.
This kind of goes with like productivity, but a lot of us are like seniors, so we also have like the stress of school and like college and all of that going on at the same time. So
I all have a lot on our plate.
yeah, the engagement and productivity. You can just add that with that, but just like
Yeah.
you need to like be mindful of that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
What else? Ooh, some solid things here.
Pretty good list.
Mm-hmm.
I'm confused to where the CIA thing comes in. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if we're supposed to do that ourselves or if that's when we all come back together.
No, you guys would do that now. You would say, you know, is this something we can control or influence, or we just have to accept it, or you know, and then how can we control for it, or how can we influence it, or if we accept it, what does that mean? What do we do with, you know, how's it going to affect us? And yeah.
I guess we can start naming them off. So completing our project in the time we have.
I think that's like part of that. We have to accept that like we don't have a ton of time left, and like be mindful of that. Maybe scale down in areas that are unrealistic, but like also it's kind of up to us to like put in the work to get it done.
Exactly. So it's like half and half control, half accept, I would say.
Yeah,
that is a good one. Productivity / engagement because of distance.
That's just the distance. Like this is kind of like the same thing. Like the distance part we can't control, obviously. So we have to accept our productivity and like engagement online would definitely be controlled by us.
We could we have influence to make that
better. Especially because like before we took a break for like summer and stuff, I feel like we were doing pretty good with like productivity and engagement. Like we were all on base camp doing like at least a check-in every day. So I feel like that's something that we could control with distance as well.
Yeah, making our project unique to others.
It's like something we can control for sure.
That's something we can control. Yeah. Lack of clarity in where we're going. That just needs to be. Yeah.
We need to talk through it.
We just need to talk. Yeah, exactly. Just need to figure out where we're going in a discussion.
And that goes with the same with direction. Like we just need to figure it out, come to consensus about it.
Yeah. The partnership and PR domino effect. Yeah, that's just.
Because without the work being done by like experiential and the other one, I just feel like that's just the kind of way it has to be in order for this.
Yeah.
And I think it could also be something that we kind of like influence a little bit, whereas like some of the people that are a part of partnership and PR like help out with the other committees so that it's getting done faster and we can kind of avoid getting behind in other areas.
Yeah.
And then last one, all of us having a lot on our plates.
It could also be like a half and half situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And do we have to do the 4 W's?
I forgot.
I want to say we do that together, like as a large group. Oh, I figured out how to delete the things.
Britton, what are your thoughts on this? Yeah, and don't be on mute if you guys, like, if you're having group discussion, like, lean in more. Take it off mute unless there's sound disturbing you, because this is a group, you know, it'd be like wearing headphones if you're in the middle of a group discussion. You know, you wouldn't do that. All right, so good. Britton, what are you thinking? Oh, wow. Your mic's not even working.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't hear anything. I'm sorry.
I think she's on her Chromebook for school. She was saying how that she's going to try and switch off of it.
Yeah,
because the audio on those are really bad.
Because it's like just for group functioning, we need your voice in here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Miller, what about you? What are you thinking of all this?
I think that a lot of this we can change ourselves. I think there's a couple unfortunate circumstances, but I think a lot of this we can definitely do something about.
Totally. I think that's one of the great things that came out of this discussion. It's like, aren't you guys like, wow, we actually have were you surprised by what you had more control over or not?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought, kind of just like thinking at first before we kind of like really thought about it, I was like, that's just stuff we have to accept. And then really when we went over each one of them, it's kind of like, wow, we really can actually do a lot to influence us.
If you guys want to make a really cool point, like that'll impress the rest of the cohort, you might say, hey, what if we had this discussion in regards to our current political environment? What is it that we just have to accept? What is it we can influence? And then what is it we can control? Because maybe, just like with this issue, maybe with the cohort, maybe it's also true that, wow, we have a lot more control or influence than we thought we did in regards to the bigger issue. Does that make sense what I'm saying, that leap I'm making from CIA here in regards to cohort to CIA in regards to the issue, the bigger overhead issue?
Good one.
Yeah. What are the background sounds? I like them.
That was my phone. Who has?
No, it sounds like there's.
I also hear little children.
Yeah.
I'm nannying right now, so
That's
there's
great.
some TV and kid stuff going on. But.
It's nice. I mean, it's not distracting. You're getting paid?
Mm-hmm.
All right, you guys, take a lesson. I'm just saying. Maya is getting paid to be here. You guys, that's called entrepreneurship. All right? It's a new environment. Could I sit there and watch kids and also participate in an extremely creative, valuable, developmental youth program that is the best ever? And the answer is yes. You can get paid to do it. Yes. Maya, you win. You win today. She won. She's the one who got paid to be here. That makes all of you suckers. I'm kidding. All right. Well, anything? Yeah, you guys. Anything else? What do we need to do what do we need to do? Let's take it one step further, you guys. Since we're sitting here and we got extra time, what do we need to do to take each one of those things we can see or control or influence, and what steps should we take? What's this committee's recommendations for each one of those? Let's do it.
I think we need to bring them to our bring them to experience, to bring them to our groups, like experiential and like some of the ones that are more general that apply to like our whole cohort, such as lack of clarity. I think we need to kind of present that to the cohort and make that a discussion topic.
All right.
We need to definitely come to consensus on like, I know there's discussion on like, if we want to do more local based or like national based. I think we need to have that discussion, and also have that discussion about adding other topics or taking away some topics and like adding some instead. So
hey, yo, are you guys ready to go to the big groups to talk about? Have you guys labeled all of the things as like control, influence, or accept? Oh, people have already started putting them on the board. Okay.
Yeah, well, have we started? Oh, Baron. Okay, Baron's looks like, all right, yeah, we can start putting them on the board.
That's fine. I think we can.
Or Derek, wait, yeah, go ahead, Derek. What was your process? I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was just checking in to see if you guys are ready, like if you've gotten like a list of elephants in the room to talk about. That's the main issue that I was not issue. That's the main thing that I was looking to see if you guys are ready for. Okay, cool. I'll check in on some of the other breakout rooms now.
Hi, Derek.
Does it help to have this up here for you guys to see?
Yes.
Should we put our stuff like on the CIA list?
Yeah, I mean, make a sticky note of like for each one, and you guys can swarm it. Like just each one take a different one, type it up into a sticky note, and put it in the correct box.
All good. First one. Wait, did we?
Oh.
Is that a sticky note?
Oh, the breakout room's closing.
Yeah, but let's see if we can do it. Do it on white sticky notes so that we have like everyone can know it's our group, and you can change the colors of the sticky notes, like you can change the fonts. Yeah, I mean, I just grab one, copy, paste it. But you do you guys. You younger techno savvy people, you can just retype it. You don't have to copy and paste it. You can just do it that way. Right on. Right on. All right, keep on doing it even while we go to the session. No worries. We'll see you there. Represent group 1.
Over the points that we talked about in the activity and debrief them. So you can just listen along. We're talking about like what are our obstacles right now as a cohort.
Awesome. I think everyone's here. So now the next part of the instructions is now we're going to collect them all together, and I'm going to check the time real quick. So Edie, do you want to address all of them, or should we just pick out a few?
We can just address, the ones that stand out. Anyone can talk about whichever ones they want to. I want to hear from as many people as possible. As for like the going to the drawing board, which is next, we left an hour for that, and I don't know if we'll need a full hour, so it's okay if we don't have that full time.
Okay, sounds good.
We're flexible.
Perfect.
So anyone from either group can pick a point and talk about where you think it went and why.
Yeah, let me go ahead and share my screen again, and then someone from group 1, 2, or 3, and then I can make like a post-it note, and we could like stick it in like influence or control or something like that. So hopefully you guys can read all these things. I'll like make them a little bigger so maybe you can see them from my screen share. But yeah, actually let's just go in order. So someone from group 1 talk about one of these, and then we're going to deliberate on like whether or not we think it is control, like something that we can control or influence or accept. Group 1 people.
So Peyton was saying how like politics was changing so much and it's hard to stay engaged with that. And I think I agree with that, because like even before like this whole like pandemic thing, all these like politics changing, like I wasn't like super like I didn't like really like know a lot about politics, and I wasn't like involved. And now that it's changing, like it's even like harder to just stay on top of things and like know what's going on. So I think that's really disengaging for me.
Okay. So would you say the issue of not really being involved in politics as control, influence, or accept? I think we said that somewhere on the list.
Yeah, we said control and influence. And then accept that politics are changing.
That's too big. And now, I'm sorry, Edie, I'm messing with your board. Okay. So we're going to put here our political. It's kind of like in between. Okay, group 2. Let's hear it from one of your elephants in the room.
One of our elephants we had was that us being seniors and online, just everything that's going on in our lives right now, we have a lot on our plates, and this one kind of can apply to almost, well, it's kind of more of an accept, but we can also kind of control a little bit of it.
Yeah, I agree. It is a pretty wacky time, and then also a lot of us seniors have stuff like this. It's something that we have to accept, but that doesn't mean like, okay, well, I guess that's the reason why our project's gonna, lose some engagement. I mean, it's like it's something we accept, but we have to adapt around it too. So group 3, actually, I've seen you guys have already put a lot on here. So if you guys want to talk about one that's not already on here or one that is on here, that's totally fine.
So one that we actually kind of split up, it was the first like block that we talked about was just time and like the time we have left.
Mm-hmm.
So under accept, we put like we have to accept that we only have this year, but we can control what we do with the time we have left. So how productive we are and how much each person works.
Mm-hmm.
And that's based on, individually. Like I might choose to work a lot and someone else might choose to work a lot, but someone might choose not to stay engaged at all. And that's just up to them. Another one, Kylie, do you want to talk about the what if we fail versus what if we succeed?
Yeah, I can kind of talk on that a little bit. So there's been like a nagging voice in the back of my head for a while, just saying like, what if the project fails? Even though I know that that's not like a super big worry because we can tackle and control how we handle our project. But I think that like the idea that there is a possibility that we fail is something that and like Ava said, it probably comes across to everyone. Like all cohorts have that mindset at some point, but we can take that and flip it on its head and say, what if we succeed? And there's a higher probability that we succeed as long as we're all working really hard and work together to create a great project. So
awesome. I love that. So yes, that's definitely something we can control for sure. Our mindset is something that we control. Yeah, go ahead, Edie.
Yeah, I think we're gonna take like a 5-10 minute break right now. Bathroom, get a drink of water, snack, whatever. Even though we didn't get to cover all of them, I encourage you guys to go back and look at each sticky note and see what each group talked about, because I think it's really beneficial to address the concerns and like acknowledge them and be able to move forward with that in mind. So we'll go on our 5-minute break now and we'll come back soon.
Yeah, 5 minutes. See you guys. Hello, Graham. You joined during our 5-minute bathroom break. You are lucky. You get to take a 5-minute break as soon as you join.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. And Derek, before you take off, were we going to finish that conversation, or were we moving on?
Oh no, we are. So we decided to break it up though. So you mean the conversation from like the group discussions, right?
Well, we just did the CIA and the elephants.
Well, on our agenda, we were supposed to be 20 minutes into okay, so we broke up the mini group discussions, right? You know, talking about like what has changed politically in the past, and then we're gonna like trigger the conversation that we had on Monday. You know, like just us together. And so that's what we're supposed to be doing right now. But we could continue this conversation,
let me just say, you correct me if I'm wrong, but what we're talking about right now is the number one thing keeping the cohort from moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
That's my opinion.
Yeah.
So we should
continue
this conversation.
I think continue this conversation, and I think it will lead itself into what we want to talk about next. Like, even when group 3, Emily is in my group, even when we were talking about obstacles, we started talking about, like, you know, because one of them was like, Eva was talking about her concern that, like, she doesn't feel like she can inform other people because she doesn't know herself. And so we kind of talked about, like, ways that you could address that, and, like, how maybe it can be like we're reaching out and interviewing the experts, and then we're debriefing and writing about how we can digest what we just learned. So showing teams that, like, there are ways to reach out and learn. And so we're informing while learning ourselves. So I think it'll lead itself into the discussion we want to have.
I'm just saying that, like, these things that they're mentioning, these elephants in the room, they're the elephants in the room for why we can't what? Engage. And if we can't engage, we can't align. And if we can't align the factors, which is the project and all the pieces of it, we can't do that if people are confused, or they're fear of failure, or they're, you know, whatever. They don't know what's going on. They don't feel informed. They don't feel like they can make a change. We don't know all the reasons they're saying they can't engage. That is the number one issue, in my opinion. Emily, any thoughts? Because you balance me out sometimes.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think, I think we just, I actually think from the standpoint of, like, following the agenda, it is kind of following the agenda to continue this conversation, because it's related to how to move forward with our project, as Adam is saying. So I think, I don't know, I guess what I'm saying is I think we just keep chatting a little bit.
Okay, awesome.
I think we decide what actions to take for each of the things we can control, what we could do to maximize our influence on the things we can do to influence. And then for the things we have to accept, we can still talk about that, what we can do to accept those better, or what we can do to compensate for the fact we have to accept, or something. And then I think we talk about our project in the same way. We say, what are the things in relation to our issue that we can control, that we can influence, and that we can accept? I'm just putting that out there. That might be too far, but that might be a good next step, because what I think the group's going to realize when we look at our own elephants in the room about why we're not engaged, I think the cohort's going to realize, whoa, we have a lot more control and influence over all of this. Everything else we thought, because of the COVID, or because, no, none of those are reasons that they can't engage. None of those are reasons they can't do a meaningful project. And I think that we need to realize that, because a lot of people are acting like we can't do anything because the world isn't the way it was. And I'm saying, no, we have to do something exactly because the world is not the way it was. It's the wrong mindset to be laying back and what's going on, and wait. No, you got to have some twitch muscle here, and, you know, make something happen. And what? Well, let's revisit our purpose, and let's see what about our purpose can still be reflected here. What outcomes, how are the outcomes shifted now? Because maybe we need different outcomes. Maybe we don't need teens to be informed. Maybe we need teens to be not going to school and marching down to ask our legislators why they're completely failing to do their job. All right, I'm just going to come.
Okay, yeah. I have to take a break, or I'm not going to be able to participate in the second half. And I think Derek and Edie should get a break too. Adam, I think that you should kick off the discussion, but also be mindful of time so that we can do the show and tell at the end. I think that'll be fun. And yeah, like, let's not let's have the conversation for the next hour and then.
All right, good, thank you. That's perfect.
But Adam, you help facilitate it. Like
okay.
Well, I think Derek and Edie, do you not agree that I think Adam, you ought to start the conversation?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I will.
And then Derek and Edie jump in, but like don't like
Yeah,
I want
for sure.
Yeah. I
Good.
think that would be helpful to everyone.
All right, okay. I will give it a good shot. Take your break. And,
Okay, bye.
Good, bye.
Okay, good news, everybody. I think we are extending the break. I'll give you until 10:40.
Derek, is there a way to put like a little timer up on like a share screen and then like, maybe just find a timer app or something, or I don't know. You're on mute, but I can't hear you, but I'm sure you're saying, hey, Adam, that's a great idea. You're the best.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. Here is the timer.
Oh, perfect. Yes, awesome. Oh, beautiful. Love it. All right, see you in 5 minutes.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, I wanted to resume the recording and all of that. So, yeah, actually, if you can let me share the screen, that'd be great. All right, so as we're getting into that discussion, let me just hear from 2 or 3 of you real quick. What was your reaction? How are you feeling about the discussion and the whole, what are the elephants in the room, and what can we control? What can we influence? What must we accept? What did you think of that discussion, just overall? Was it good? Was it relevant? Was it needed?
I think it was needed because I feel like our engagement has been lacking quite a bit, and it's important to talk about the stuff you maybe don't want to talk about, and we have to face that we don't have, a ton of time left, and if we need to revamp anything, then we need to do it now, kind of thing.
Good. Thanks. Yeah, other thoughts or reactions? Agree, disagree, or just different point altogether?
I don't know if anyone else heard this, but when you guys were on our break, Adam, Emily, Derek, and I are talking about how like this stuff that we're talking about right now is the most important thing, because before we can move forward, this has to be addressed. If we can't get past this, then we're not going to make any progress. So it's super important to talk about the things that are holding us back.
And I want to tell you, this is true. What Edie just said is true of any group or any relationship. If you're in a relationship that's stuck, it's these things. It's what are the elephants in the room? What are the things that are keeping you from engaging? If you're in part of any team or any program in your family, what's going on? And even politically, that's what's happening. Why can't we engage? So, so these are the reasons. I'm confused. I'm uncertain. I don't know what to do. I'm overburdened. I'm overwhelmed with other things. It all relates to what I'm going to share with you, this fundamental relationship of this. We want to thrive. We want our project to thrive, or we want our relationship or business or family to thrive. Great. We all want that for the things we care about. Then, okay, then in order for that to happen, there's certain factors that need to be aligned. We need to get certain things in our business, in our project, in our schoolwork. We need to get them aligned to have thriving results. To thrive in school, I need to align my sleep schedule, my personal organization, my assignments and study time, my extracurricular activities. I have to align all of these factors if I want to thrive in school, right? Well, in order to align all those things, it matters how you spend your resources. And that's what's weird about the way I talk about engagement. I say engagement is how are you spending your resources? I should probably bring everyone to me. Let's do that. Oh no, well, you can, I'm share my screen, you don't need me to. So that's what we're talking about. And the question, Derek, remind me the question of what we were discussing here on this board is what were these things that they were listing?
Right, so all the elephants. So we came up with elephants in the room, And then now we're deciding whether these are things that we can control, influence, or things that we just have to accept.
Elephants in the room for what?
For the engagement of our cohort.
Right, exactly. What you were discussing is why aren't we engaging? Why aren't we engaging? Why aren't we spending our resources well? And what I mean by that is why am I as an individual not giving the attention I need? Why am I waiting for someone else to show leadership? You know, if I'm confused, why am I waiting around for someone else to unconfuse me? If I don't like the direction we're going, why am I waiting around for someone to put it in the direction I want it to go? And so I want you to realize that's no way to engage. And that is not, I am not being critical of you. I've done this. I've engaged with things where I wasn't really interested in spending my resources on them, or I just, even if I was interested, I just didn't have the resources to spend. I didn't have the time. I didn't have the energy. I didn't have the emotional space. I don't know, the psychic space in here, whatever you want to call it. I just didn't have it. Or maybe it was a heart thing, you know? Or maybe it was a skill thing and I didn't know how to help or how to participate. But for whatever reason, I wasn't bringing what I had to engage. Why should I have been there? That was my mistake. My mistake. I thought I might have been doing a good thing. I'm keeping my responsibility. But maybe I was weakening the group. Maybe inadvertently, not intentionally. I don't intentionally do it. So it's about how you engage, and it's going to affect every aspect of your life. It's not just YPI, it's how you engage school will affect your results in school. How you engage your relationships will impact it. And you only have so much to give, only so much resource. That would be one of the lessons you should be drawing. If school's not teaching us that, the school is failing. We have limited resources, so we need to do what? We need to be better at spending them. Well, we need to do a couple things. We need to be better at identifying our resources. In life, you guys have resources you don't even know you have. And then sometimes you think you have resources, but you don't. You think someone's your friend, but they're not. Or you don't think someone is your friend and they are. And I'm talking mainly about your parents. If they're good parents, and you may not, that doesn't mean you like them, but it doesn't matter. If your parents love you, then they will put whatever they will put before themselves for you. And you have one of the greatest resources ever, but you kind of take it for granted. I get that. But I'm saying learning how to identify our resources. And then the second thing is how to cultivate them. Because the resources you have, it's not a static, fixed thing. It's dynamic. And you're realizing that. I want YPI to teach you. You could grow your resources if you're organized and you have a good plan. We haven't gotten to that yet. But one of the ways you organize is you come together and you align, and we just haven't done that yet. We just haven't. We just have not aligned as a group and said, we are in this together, and knowing what this is, defining what this is. That's the problem. One of the big elephants is we don't know what this is, but the second one really is, are we in it together? All right. And so it's identify your resources, cultivate your resources, and then the third thing, and it's very boring, but it matters more than just about anything else, is how do you distribute your resources? And you're making decisions all the time. You're making decisions right now. You're deciding whether to listen or not. You might be off doing something else. You might be on an app. I don't know, because you control your engagement. And part of YPI is Emily and I don't want to be running around trying to, hey guys, stay engaged. Hey, do you care about this? Hey, we're over here. No, that's not how this program was ever meant to be set up. It was not meant to ever trigger your extrinsic engagement or extrinsic motivation. It was only meant, we thought you were here. We interviewed you because we thought you wanted to make a contribution. That's the kindness. And that you were willing to make a commitment, a 3-year commitment at your age is huge. That's the second thing. And capability, that's the third thing. That's not what we expected you to bring. That's what our job was to help, is cultivate your capabilities. so that you could do this going forward for the rest of your life. That's the program we're in. So now here we are. The exercise is aiming it at a topic. And you have one of the most, you couldn't have picked a more relevant topic. Let me just tell you, of all the cohorts ever in the history of cohorts, not just YPI cohorts, any cohort that's ever existed, you've picked among the most relevant topics any cohort could have ever picked in their time. Okay, we just don't know what to do with it. But my experience has been YPI has never failed. The students have never failed to figure out what to do about something, but it first starts with how they engage, and that's just it. And of the cohorts we've had, yours engagement has been the trickiest. It's been the trickiest, but it has nothing to do with your capabilities. It has nothing to do with your kindness or your commitment. We got to figure out what it is, and these are what you've put on here are the elephants on the table. So if we can engage, let me share the screen now. Let's just go into it now. Let's talk about these things. I know we're taking a valuable time, but let me stop there. Any reactions to anything I said? Did I say anything inappropriate or anything like that?
No, I think that, like you said, we can identify them and talk about them, and like we have control over that. But as for each and every one of you's individual engagement, that's up to you, you know? Like, Adam can't control that, Emily can't control that, I can't control that, Derek can't control that. Like, that's up to you. So if you aren't going to stay engaged, it's, we can talk about it as a group, but it's not up to us to make you do something that you're just not going to.
Well, and I want to add too, I think we're talking about engagement on the individual level, but we're also talking about engagement with the project. So if there's any of you listening and are like, I want to work on our project, this is working on our project, right? Like, you guys actually brought up some really important things that impact individual engagement but are related to the project, like the time we have left, the fact that you're having information overload, that you don't really know what direction to go. Those things are, yeah, we're talking about be accountable as an individual, but this is also project time. So don't zone out because you think we're talking about the same thing that we always talk about, if that's where you were headed. And if it's helpful to you, think in terms of the project, of like, how can I engage with the project? Well, here are the things that as a group we've identified, and then let's do something about it, or decide what, even if the doing is that we just accept it.
Good. And I want to make clear, like, this may sound like one of those you're in trouble, we're doing bad conversations. It's not at all. And I'll tell you why, because for me, it's because you're our project. Your project isn't our project. Your project is your project. You are our project. And if from this experience you're realizing and you're learning and you're developing this understanding, even just, wow, I control my own engagement, I can direct it, where should I direct it? This is going to be something that it will make the whole thing worth it alone. But wait, there's more. Stick around. We got the steak knives and the, Julian peeler. And a real Julian over right here, But we've got, the steak fries cutter and the slap chop and all of this. I mean, it's here in this program. So don't despair. You are in a field of riches. You are in a project. You are in a time nobody has the answers to something, but people will listen if you're thoughtful about it. So give yourself to this project, and or move it on, recollect your resources and move away, because then if we have a concentration of people here who really are fully engaged, the project it'll just almost just fall into place. It will. That's how engagement works. So no one's in trouble, but manage your engagement. Manage it in or manage it out, but manage it. And then here, let's get into these elephants. And let's just knock them out and just see what do we do about it. So is this board populated correctly? Do we have the things over here? Are they correctly placed over here? Is my pointer working? Do you guys get to see my pointer? Is like that Adam's pointer working?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to make sure that what's in group 1's box and group 2's box are represented over here. And it looks like it is. Okay. So then let's jump to the things we can control. What do we do with the time we have left? How do we control just tell me some ways, and then we could just mark it down. Let me see if I'm trying to move this little sticky note here. Come here. All right, sticky note. Sticky note. Okay, good. There we go. This sticky note right here, I'm moving it around. I want to know some answers to that. What are some things we can do? Let's make a little sticky note next to it, or let's make a little text box next to it. And let's say, what can we do about this with the time we have left? Any thoughts on that?
I think in the spring when we had like a little timeline going, that helped a lot to kind of plan out like things to do for each month. So we have it all planned out and we know where we're going.
Right?
Yeah, that's a great point, Maya. Yeah, it's managing time. Using tools like a timeline or your own personal weekly time management stuff. Project plan, Adam's writing. And maybe also, this is a little bit less of a tangible thing, but a mental shift in how we are viewing the time that we have left. And instead of like letting concern, anxiety, fear about the time that we have left paralyze us, that we reframe it to maybe something more motivating, like what perfect timing that we have chosen this issue right now. Or maybe even timing that several of you are going to be voting age during this time. Whatever it is that's called a positive reframe, right? This is the reality that we're in. We can reframe it to think more positively and thereby motivate ourselves to take action.
Okay, which one was that? Was that the mindset one?
It's both. It's both of them.
Okay, so it's this one here, this pink one?
Sure. I mean, I'm just saying, what do we do with the time we have left? That's what I was speaking to, but I think mindset is connected to that.
It is. So yeah, and where I'm going is you see how I did that? That was Command D. I doubled this right here so we could just get some more notes on this one. And Emily, I want to capture what you said, reframe?
Yeah, that just if how we're viewing time is halting project or negatively impacting engagement, then you reframe how you think about it. You rewrite the internal narrative that you have. You could apply that even to bigger things in your life, like pressure about college or school or whatever. What's the narrative that's playing in your head, and rewrite it in a positive way, even if you don't believe it, because in the process of rewriting it, your little brain is creating neural pathways that will eventually believe it.
Oh, very good. Very good. So what I'm saying is, like, for each one of these, I want to identify what we can do about it. So lack of clarity and where we're going. What can we do about that lack of clarity? Let's hear from some of you. What would you do? What if a friend came to you and said, hey, I'm confused. I'm not really clear on this project at school or what to do about this relationship thing. What would you tell that person to gain clarity?
Sit down and talk through it.
Oh, I like that. All right. Like dedicates. And why wouldn't somebody just sit down and talk through it? What would stop somebody? Making the time.
Yeah.
Good. Right. Like if we make the time to do it as a cohort, like why not schedule an evening chat, a fireside chat, and just like really talk about this issue? All right. What else? What else would you do if a friend came to you and said, I don't have clarity. I need some more clarity.
This is more with the cohort, but just making sure, I just like to have like confirmation from others, I guess, because it, like, especially since this project, it's 25 people and we're all supposed to kind of be on the same page. So just to like make sure that like each individual group is like somewhat on the same, like on the same page or on the same page with each other, just so we make sure that like we're not going complete, like one group isn't going completely off the diving board. of what everyone else wants.
Okay, great. Make sure each person and team, is coordinating with the others. Is that, would you say that's, okay. Yep. I added seek out others' views, talk to experts. That's the way I get clarity. Let me talk to people who know more than me. Find your Yoda. You will. You should. You must. I mean, I just want to cover these quickly because I mean we're already using up more time. But these are the elephants. If we can address these, then we can engage. And if we can engage, we can do what?
Make progress.
Yes. I'm looking for a word that begins with an A.
Align.
Yes. We can align. If we can engage, we can align. And if we can align the right things, make progress on the right things, we can do what?
Thrive.
Thrive. That was a T. That was meant to be a T. Yes. Thrive. All right. Making our project unique to others. First, I just want to clarify what that means. Making it relevant. Do we mean unique or do we mean relevant? Is unique the right word?
Yeah, I think, or just like succeeding versus failing. I think everyone has a different definition to what that means, but one like that we talked about was the fear of failing versus just like having the mindset to succeed.
Yeah, where did that fear of failure one go?
I think it was the mindset one. What if we fail? What if we succeed?
Right on. Okay. Yes. So, so what can we do about this one then? You guys are them. You are them. Make it meaningful for you.
Yeah, I think if we're happy with what we're doing, then other people will be too. And I was on Instagram actually a couple of days ago looking up if there were any just Instagram profiles teens and politics and teens, whatever, and literally nothing showed up. So what we're doing is meaningful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Can I shared this with one of the small groups that I was in, and it's going to sound like a little bit of a tangent, but it's not. It's just some ideas that are circulating in my brain after listening to you all talk. Because what I seem to overwhelmingly hear when we were in some of the groups was that right now, maybe what's inhibiting engagement in general, or it is that there's so much happening politically that it's a little overwhelming. If you talk about it in your circles of friends, it's divisive, or you avoid it because it's overwhelming, or you don't know enough, or you know too much, or it's heavy stuff that we're talking about too. So I'm wondering, have any of you can just visually raise your hand. Have any of you ever seen the little snippets? I've seen them on Instagram by this man named Emmanuel Acho, and it's called Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man. Has anybody seen that before? Just Julian? Oh, Britton's seen it. Kylie. Okay. So just as a personal experience, when the Black Lives Matter, right after George Floyd died and Black Lives Matter stuff was peaking, I was feeling overwhelmed. I'm empathizing with how you guys are feeling because I feel it a little bit too, but I was feeling overwhelmed as a white woman who has no experience with what it's like to be a Black man. But I wanted to learn and I didn't know where to begin. So I found these videos started circulating. Well, Emmanuel Acho, he's a Black man. He was an NFL player. He, I think he's maybe an anchor, or he does some kind of reporting, sports reporting now. But in these conversations, he basically just started a dialogue with very random people like Matthew McConaughey, Chip and Joanna Gaines, this couple that have mixed race children, Oprah Winfrey, very random. But in doing that, I learned, like in that posture of listening, it for me was listening to an expert on being a Black man so that I could learn, so that I could develop empathy, so that I could be more engaged in what was happening. So that's been circulating in my brain as I'm listening to you all talk about all these political issues and what to do with it. And I'm throwing out there the idea of that maybe that is your leverage for a good project, is the not knowing, or is the feeling overwhelmed. Perhaps your project is your process for dealing with those feelings, right? Maybe you build videos around you all learning about these topics, right? Maybe you have uncomfortable conversations for teens about issues we're all uncomfortable with, and it's you all learning. So then that takes the onus off of you and being the expert, right? There's no way I can ever be an expert on being a Black man, right? I can't, it's impossible, right? But I can learn, and I can still help people learn about the Black Lives Matter movement, even though I'm not a Black man. So you all can still help people learn about and engage in politics, even if you're not an expert, just by taking on a posture of learning. And maybe that's your content. I'm just throwing that out there as sort of an idea, even as a way to not totally abandon what you started with in the first place of these issues like that you identified, you know, in the first place. I don't know. Anyway, there's just things that have been mulling around in my mind, and hopefully speaking to that sense of like, I'm overwhelmed, what do I do with it? Your best asset is that perhaps that you don't know, and that's okay. And how do you use that to make your project useful? Because I'm sure that 99% of your peers feel the same way that you do. I'll stop, but does anyone have any reactions to that?
I think that's a good way to look at it, because it kind of helps us turn something that is a hindrance to us into a resource. Like, you know, like Adam said, it just kind of, it'll ultimately help us be more engaged because it's something that's more in our hands.
I agree. Sorry, can you all hear me? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I agree. Like, I think our initial idea was good, but I think like kind of what Emily was saying, like we were trying to be the experts in all the fields, and we're not going to be able to be the experts in all the fields that we were like attempting to study and like portray. So I kind of like this idea of like fully acknowledging that we're not experts, and yet like that we're trying to learn more about it. And I also think that will help us with the like overwhelmed feeling, because we will be learning about them, but there's no pressure for us to be like the most knowledgeable in the subject.
What else? Would most of you all agree that it's like there's just so much information out there that the idea of building a project where you are demonstrating expertise on the topics is overwhelming? Okay, cool. That was helpful to see so many heads nod. Okay. I didn't mean to hijack that conversation. I just wanted to get it out there. So are there any more? I mean, we can go back to other items that we can control, influence, other things. What's the sense of what direction we should go?
Yeah, hearing from you all, this is your cohort. We just wanted to bring, Emily and I's role has always been, if we think you guys are heading for trouble, we want to tell you. We've always reserved the right. but we aren't here to tell you how to do things or what to do exactly. We're trying to keep the rails on so the group can move forward in a productive way, but otherwise we want to just let you have this experience. So based on what we've shared, what do you all say about it? Do you want to continue talking through each of those elephants? Do you want to move into the project more and maybe come back to the elephants knowing that it's an important thing and we should, but we've got it, we've got it highlighted and on our radar to know that us engaging is the first most important factor for success of our project? We can, delve into it, or we can put a pin in it and come back to it. So up to you all.
I kind of want to move on to the project and like talking about that.
Good.
I'm with Peyton. I want to move on to the project and kind of start like bringing in what we talked about with the elephants into discussing the actual project.
Okay. Great, let's do it. And we will reserve the right, and we can come back to these elephants anytime we need to, because we'll need to. That's it. It's not this is what I call a reality conversation. And I know a lot of us are trying to think of it as like, I'm in trouble conversation. It's not that. It's just, here's the reality. If we keep going the way we're going, will we get the results we want? And that's the reality. That's it. It's only that. It's only that. And yes, maybe it does mean you have to change your behavior. Or I don't want to change my behavior, because I like my behavior to be freely chosen by me. But I can't all the time, and so sometimes it means that. But that's what reality conversations are for. And our country needs one big, massive reality conversation. So the sooner we can get to it as a cohort, the sooner we can get to it to help other people do it. So with that, I just want to thank you for hearing me out. I turn it back over to our co-facilitators.
So I think we can just, sorry, my audio is being finicky. We can kind of elaborate a little bit just on like where we want to move with the project, keeping those like conflicts in mind. So if anyone has like any points that they want to share or ideas that they want to incorporate, like we want to hear it all. Everyone does.
I have an idea. Okay, so I was thinking, like I was talking with my group earlier, or like, the first breakout room, and we were kind of talking about how much politics is changing and stuff, and I feel like maybe it would be important to consider shifting some of our focus to issues that will apply to politics no matter what the heck is like going on, So like an example I gave would be like how to have a productive argument or how to discuss a topic with someone who has a different opinion. I just feel like maybe if we wanted to incorporate a little bit more of that into our project, that would help teens navigate politics and not just know about it. Because you can always Google about politics, but you don't find anything on Google about how to do politic-y stuff, like having discussions with people or, finding like news sources and everything.
Thank you for sharing.
It reminds me of uncomfortable conversations. It's like they're in that video. I know I keep talking about this. I hope you all go and watch it. But it's there. He's modeling how to talk about an uncomfortable conversation in a civil way with people who are different, which is what we want to do.
I agree with that. I think it could also make our project more sustainable, because if we make our project solely focused on just facts, like, teaching teens about what's going on right now, it may not be the most sustainable. But with that, we don't have to be experts on everything going on right now. Instead, we can just be a guide for helping, kids our age navigate politics just like we have to navigate politics.
I love that.
Yeah, I mean, I would encourage everyone, I'm going to go do it, watch the videos that Emily was talking about. Just because I think, one, it's informing to us, and two, it gives us maybe a good idea of how we want to learn ourselves and how we can show other people how to learn too when creating our own projects. Thank you, Emily.
Yeah, I'm curious how you all are feeling about the issues. Like where we left off in the spring was you all had put some work into these issues or profiles. And I'm curious what your feelings are about that, or about where those stand now and how we might use them or not use them, modify them, whatever.
So I was thinking about kind of what Peyton was saying, that I feel like focusing on specific issues kind of makes it hard to keep our projects just sustainable, because those issues may not be problems in politics in the next 5-10 years or so. And ideally, we want our project to last as long as possible. But I think we can still use those topics as kind of like conversations to help teach kids maybe how to learn about, no matter like what topic they're talking about, just use it as like an example of a good discussion instead of using that as like the sole topic. It's just, this is just one of the many topics that you could put in place here to learn about politics in general.
Julian also had a comment.
Yes, thank you. I know we put a lot of work into those profiles, and I think that the work we put in was good and like useful. So I get what you're saying about them not being sustainable, but I think like the issues we chose because those were sustainable issues. Those have been issues for many, many years, and I see them being issues for many, many more. And so I think that you definitely could incorporate that. And I'm suggesting more of like the modify instead of like the throw out kind of option, because I think like if we did the video thing that Emily was talking about, like those could be over those kinds of issues that we have, and we already have like the research on them and who would be the best to like maybe talk to about those issues. And plus we already put in so much work over the spring for that. I would also just hate to like lose all of that we worked on. I'm not saying we should never look back and like take out work that we've already done, but I think that it's so vital that we could definitely incorporate it.
Abby, go ahead.
While we're waiting for Abby to whatever's going on, good luck with that. Okay. You can go ahead and type it. Hopefully you're on your computer where typing is easy. But yeah, we can make a couple of comments on like what Julian and Kylie have said. So yeah, I mean like the profiles, certainly like even if we don't like end up directly incorporating them into our final project and our product, that doesn't mean they're not useful. And even if like we don't end up using them, they're still useful to us. Like that helped us learn more about politics. And like a lot of people have been saying, like you need to know it yourself first before you can teach it to someone else. And so I think they have already been useful, and then but we can still get more value out of them if we need it. Yeah.
One thing that I will say is like earlier Emily made the comment of like it can be kind of overwhelming to teach people about things that like you yourself are not an expert on. And like especially in the last couple of months, me personally with like everything going on, it's just been like a lot to think about, that like, oh, like things are always changing, and like I never will be an expert on like everything in politics. It's just like not going to happen. And so like if we were to go more of the route that like Peyton was talking about, that like the profiles wouldn't, like they won't be a complete waste, because like through creating those profiles, like we now know like how to learn about politics, and like we know like what the routes to do that are. So like we might not have to use the information from like directly from the profiles, but we can use like the process that we took to make them, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah, no, I agree. Daisy also made a comment, so if you guys want to read that, I think it's really important. Like, I don't think the profiles were a waste. I think they were beneficial and helped get our minds on the right track, and will help us when it comes to, you know, having those conversations with people that maybe know it better than us, so that we can learn, so that we can show other people like, okay, maybe this topic won't be relevant in 5 years, but this is how you go about talking to someone, and then debriefing what we've learned and how we've learned it. So, and I think that, you know, setting up some next steps to keep us engaged in the time that we, like in time until the next call, are really important too. And we will talk about that.
I'm listening and reading Daisy's comment too, but I love that idea of recording maybe you guys dialoguing about what you've learned, because that captures all the things. It captures what Allie said about like what you are going to be experts in is like feeling overwhelmed and trying to do something to like trying to do something to combat that feeling, to channel it toward healthy political engagement. And Adam always talks about how when we record these calls, it's like our own reality show. Like, here we are, this is the YPI reality show. And maybe your project is similar, it's like you take an issue, you interview an expert, you talk about your process, you record like 5 of you dialoguing about an issue and how, what you struggle with. And anyway, I really like that. That's all I'm saying.
Any other thoughts or comments from anyone else?
Daisy did add something. She said by next steps. Oh, Abby did type out her comment too, so we can go over that as well. But yeah, finishing the thought I started. Daisy did say by next step she meant that giving the teens a way to get involved after they learn. So I think this has come up multiple times, but it was like having more like local engagement. Let me see exactly what it was. Yeah, like make a difference locally, or like contacting our local representatives or something like that. And so that could be something that could have something to do with our next steps. So let's take a look at Abby's comment. Okay, so she's just saying like we worked a lot on the profiles, and then if we like kind of trash them, then we'll just be doing the same thing again, and that's probably not a productive action. So she thinks that the best way is to modify and take a different focus on how to use the profiles. Okay.
Adam, do you have any comments about the discussion so far?
I think it's fantastic. I mean, why not use your experience of learning as, I mean, it's such an elegant solution that I'm glad I thought of it like on the first day. I was telling you guys to do that all along. No, I'm kidding. It's just a really nice, no, it's lovely. It's a lovely solution that you're capable of, because of course, becoming an expert on all of these issues and then trying to teach other people, it's not possible. But to wrestle with these issues, that is entirely possible and valuable, because that's where everybody else is at too. So yeah, I don't know what it looks like, a reality show or who knows, but maybe we can start thinking in that direction. But as long as I get to be the sassy one that everybody loves to hate. That's a joke. Gosh, you guys are so boring.
So we can talk a little bit about like what we want to do over this next week to just keep it on our minds and, you know, make some progress so we have more discussion next week and we can make some progress. Derek and I had kind of written down a bunch of different things of what we wanted to have you guys work on over the week, and it kind of will just all depend on how the conversation went. But I think it's important, one, that we go and watch those videos, because I think that will be really informative for us and beneficial to our project. Another bullet point that we had was like maybe researching like what other teams are doing like in other states, if there is anything.
Can I add something to that? And that would be maybe looking for some people locally that could potentially be like a guest speaker or expert to interview. Like, I mentioned this in one of the committees, but if you remember, like the state congressman Monroe Nichols, who spoke with you all the first year, I think. But it doesn't have to be somebody that's holding an official office either. Maybe you know someone who's really active. Maybe you know someone who is involved in caring for COVID patients and has strong feelings about community health, and you just want to interview and practice dialoguing and asking good questions, or, you know, and maybe just making a list of some people, pooling the resource that we have that is all of us living in Tulsa, and who do we know that we could talk to and dialogue with and practice learning, basically.
Yeah, sorry for leaving you out to dry, Edie. I was taking notes. We should get a note taker. We should get one. We should. Anyways, but yeah. So some other things that, building on what Emily said, like we could have people, you know, email like representatives or whatever, local representatives, state representatives, you know, like senators, House representative people. And another thing that Edie and I talked about was that, like, if we had all 28 people in our cohort do the same thing, like maybe it would be okay if we had like 28 people and they all had to send an email to different people, that'd be fine. But like if we had everyone do research on the same thing, then we get a lot of the same answers and it wouldn't be productive. And we just get like first result Google answers that you could find in like 10 seconds that you just found like a couple minutes before the meeting started or something. And so what we were thinking of doing is like splitting up the chores into like different committees. So like the curriculum committee, it would make the most sense if they were in charge of like, or like responsible for doing the research kind of thing that we talked about, because that's kind of related to what they're supposed to be doing. And then I think the connections committee, it could be their job to email a ton of, like reach out to local legislators. The more the better. We talked about like not making these tasks too hard, because, well, then you wouldn't do them, but not too easy that you can like get a Google search and like come up with the first result and then be done. So do you want to talk about this right now, Edie, or are we still continuing the conversation?
Yeah, no, I had a point to make. I was just doing like a couple Google searches about, because, you know, I think it'd be cool if we emailed local legislators and, you know, possibly either like wrote up something that we could send to them or reach out to them. But also I was looking up like student governments at TU and like, you know, if there's any like political activism groups in Tulsa of like with young teens, and like finding maybe we could talk to some of those people. So just doing some research, like Emily was saying, making a list of people that you could possibly talk to.
The president of the TU Student Association, the student body president at TU, is a former YPIer, is a former co-facilitator.
That's awesome.
She might be willing to come down from her vaulted station and speak with us. In fact, I bet you'd make her day. Her name is Faith Nichols. She went to Union.
Yeah, that would be another really great person to talk to. If and Adam or Emily or Derek, if we don't have anything else on the task, I feel like maybe we can move to the show and tell before we do plus deltas.
Sounds good. I think it was Britton, Peyton, and Allie who will be doing show and tell today.
I'm gonna go get my show and tell. It's my dog. It's gonna go get him.
Hey, and while they're prepping for that, you guys, one of the benefits that you remember from the spring of where we leave off on these group meetings is that we're not going month to month anymore. So, you know, we don't have SPS this Sunday, but we'll be back together on Friday. So think about what small steps can you take individually to be engaged between now and next Friday. I know I already feel more engaged just because we had this conversation. And have been writing down things that I want to like follow up on and think about and all of that. So, and then what you've done is given Derek and Edie the information they need to structure the next meeting. So if you think of something you need before then too, post it on Basecamp. And, you know, the agenda for next Friday is not built yet. So, and you don't have to wait till next Friday. Goodbye now.
Okay, Britton, are you ready for show and tell?
Sure, I'm ready. Okay, so this is a camera that means a lot to me. I just really like cameras, and I'm not really good at anything with them. I just like the way they look. And so I got this, my dad surprised this with me on a trip. I think we were in Italy. And so he surprised it with me when we got back in the States. And so I really like it, and it means a lot to me.
Awesome.
Wait, you have to tell us more than that. That was too short.
Have you ever used it?
No, I have not used it, but my dad told me that the like salesperson said that like the story behind it was like, I think it's from like the 40s or something like that, or the 30s. I don't really know. I can't remember. And it was like this couple who owned it, and like took lots of like photographs of like what was going on in Italy. And I don't use it. I don't want to use it because I don't want to like break it or anything. So I just keep it on a shelf and I look at it.
But yeah. What is it? Is it so it's a film camera, right?
I have no idea. It just looks like this, and it's vintage and stuff, and
yeah.
I like the way it looks, and so I don't really know much about it, but yeah, that's all.
That's super cool. Thank you for sharing.
Peyton has a living being, so maybe we should let her go next. Is going to show off a living being, so.
Yeah, he's being a little stubborn. Come on, honey. Okay, come on. Oh no! 1 second, we're having a technical difficulty. Here's my dog. Okay. No, come back. I have peanut butter. Look. Come here. Okay, that's my dog. His name is Gibson. He really likes my mom. So we have had Gib for like 4 years, and he is really attached to my mom. That's why he's not cooperating right now. He's a golden doodle, and I used to have 2 dogs, but one of them we recently had to put down. So he's just he's a little lonely right now, but we just got a hamster, so there's that. But he's a cutie. I don't have much else to tell about him. He's my dog.
How many stories about him?
Stories about Gibson. Let's see. Well, this isn't really a specific story, but whenever we're eating, oh, that's cute. So whenever we're like eating dinner or something, if you look away for like a second, he'll come up to the table, and his tongue, it just kind of like, he just goes towards the plate. It's so funny. He'll like lick it from like beside the table. So that's a good one. oh gosh, what else? He's an interesting dog. He shuts my mom's laptop sometimes whenever he wants attention. He used to like sit on her lap and he just paws it closed. He's really smart. It's sometimes kind of terrifying. I think he's like half human or something. I don't know. But yeah, he's a fun dog.
That's awesome. Thanks so much for sharing that.
I'm gonna go let him go back to my mom because he wants to go back to her.
You do that. Allie, you're up next.
Okay, this is like a super random, but I have this necklace that I wear like every day. I don't know. Oh, it's like moving a lot. It's the Greek like eye or whatever it's called. And I got it in Greece, and it's like really meaningful for me because like I'm an only child, and my parents and I are like super close, and we go on a trip every summer together. It's like our family thing. And so was it 2 summers ago? I don't even remember. We went to Greece, and it was like such a fun trip. And so it's not so much like the necklace is special, it's just like the memories that are attached to it, like family times. So yeah, here's my necklace. I wear it like every day.
Very nice.
That's super cool. Thank you for sharing. Okay, so we can transition to plus deltas. So for a reminder, pluses are like what helped moved us towards progress, and deltas are what hindered us from progress, like what kept us from making progress. So feel free to let loose.
I'm gonna give you guys a countdown to 5, and then if no one says anything, okay, Julian.
I felt like a plus of the day was the elephant activity because even though unfortunately I missed like the creation of that, even just jumping in on the end of that and seeing like how like literally seeing on the Miro board like what is hindering us and like talking about engagement and then like rewriting it in a positive light, like that was really nice for me. I'm definitely a visual learner, and so I like really appreciated like all of like the thoughts I've been having in my head about like why we haven't been moving, like written down on the Miro board and organized, and yeah, that was super helpful. So that was definitely a plus for me.
Okay, this is kind of like a plus and a delta. Like just with the political stances that are like happening in the past 6 months, I feel like it's really rocking our project because like there's different steps that we can take for it, so it's just more confusing like at a time like this, which is okay because like that could also be a plus because we could take those recent events into our project, but it's just it just makes it a little bit more confusing.
I wasn't at the kickoff retreat or whatever it's called, but so this is my first time being able to use Miro board in like real time, but I thought it was really cool. I like it.
Awesome. What about Miro board do you think helped move us towards progress? Just being able to see everything, or like being able to collaborate with everyone at once?
I think it's like I love like being able to see everyone's work and like everyone working at the same time, and it was nice to be able to move things around easily and like organize your thoughts. I don't know. I'm just a very visual person, so it was nice to be able to see everything.
I agree. I like Miro because if we're if we were like in a meeting in person, you have the cohorts kind of separate across the room. You don't really know like what they're talking about. So I feel like it makes it a little bit easier to like sort of get a feel for how to make what your committee talks about kind of contribute towards the overall goal, because you can kind of see what other committees are talking about or what they're doing in real time.
Julian, I think you had your hand raised.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Maya.
I was just gonna say I really liked all the breakout rooms that we did today. They felt like really productive, and I like doing the like discussion like after we talked in a big group, how we kind of discussed it in the smaller groups, like how we felt about that and stuff. It felt like, I know with like technology and stuff, it's a lot more like intimidating almost to like unmute yourself and talk in the bigger groups. So it was a lot easier to like kind of hear everyone's voice in that too. So I like that a lot.
Yeah, that was exactly what I was going to say. And I was going to add that I think because we did that, I heard from people that I would argue that if we were in person, I might not have heard from. And not just in like my small group, but that like then in this dialogue where we're all together spoke. And I really love that.
Awesome. I also have a plus. So it was, I think it did have a little bit to do with what Julian said at first. It was like, and then also what Emily said, like reframing in like a positive way. It was like specifically the way, I just like found a really good example when Adam said our cohort's engagement is tricky. And I think it had like that statement had the potential to be a delta, like move us away from progress, like to demoralize us. But I think really being conscious of like how we say things is, or like, especially in that moment, Adam being conscious of how he said our engagement being tricky, did not let it turn into a delta, because like if he said our engagement was like some negative word, then we might have all been demoralized. But he said it's like tricky, which is like, you know, tricky. It's like a problem, but like problems are supposed to be solved. So like he kind of like framed it in a way that made it more engaging for us, instead of like just saying like it is some negative word and then we'd be disengaged. So that was a plus for me.
I'm also, this is kind of a plus, but despite having a lot of people submit absence request forms, I'm glad that like they were able to make it, even if it was just for a little bit of the meeting, because I think it was helpful regardless. Like even though they weren't able to be here the whole time, like they still made an impact in the discussion, and they did everything they could to be here as much as they could. So I appreciate that.
Yes. Thank you for everyone who has come and who stayed, who had to come but then maybe left. Yeah, it's infinitely better if you do come for just a little bit, and then even if you have to leave, we'd still prefer you to come and instead of like not coming at all. To participate, if you're gonna come, but then there's a flip side. If you're gonna come and then like not pay attention because you're like you might be doing something else, then we prefer you to focus on the other thing and don't give us like half of your attention. But if you're gonna come and give us all of your attention, then we want that, even if you'll have to leave in the middle of it.
Sorry, I'm writing down all the plus and deltas. Anything else to be added or discussed? Concerns moving forward?
I just have a clarifying question. Can we go over like the responsibilities for the week just to like, so that we're all on the same page? I'm just kind of confused as to like what we're supposed to be doing. Like what the committee is like, what are we supposed to be doing?
Oh yeah, I mean we've got like 15 minutes, so we can discuss this a little bit as well. So originally this was our plan. If you look at the agenda for today, it said that like the committees for experiential and PR branding were supposed to test the MVP together, and then like curriculum committee was supposed to do research on let me just check real quick. Supposed to do research on what teams are doing elsewhere and like other examples, or like I guess that would be replaced with what we talked about today. And then the connections committee would be like reaching out to people, or if you've got someone. But I know Julian said something about Melissa, and so like if you have someone to reach out to but you're like not on connections, like you should still reach out to them. But yeah, we were like, the chores kind of depend on like how the conversation went. So how would you guys feel about so like like one example of like how that's going to change is like I don't think the experiential and branding committee are going to be testing the MVP anymore, since we did talk about some other methods, or like, you know, making videos where we like kind of like learn as we are like in the video, like talk about what we've learned.
Yeah, I mean, I think one, I know I've said this like 3 times, but something that everyone can do is go and watch the videos that Emily talked about. As for the PR and experiential group, I think this goes for everyone. Like, do some research on people that are experts in things that we aren't and that we could talk to. You know, like write some names down, like, because those, even just the little things, like those little things are going to help progress us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the main homework is to think on an individual level what steps can you take to ramp up your engagement. I wouldn't worry so much about like, what does my committee need to be doing right this minute between now and next Friday? I would hold on that, because I think we don't have enough information yet on how to inform the committees to get going, unless the thing that you're going to do to be engaged this week is to think through what your committee could be doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Also, another thing to reflect on is like your own engagement. You know, like think about how you approach this stuff so that we can help address that when we're creating our project to help other teams approach this.
Yeah, so I think in light of what Emily said, then our chores would be to watch the video of uncomfortable conversations and to do research, or like find people who are like professionals, or like, you know their stuff about politics. And then, you know, you could take the next step and like reach out to them too. Maybe like it could be like a mass emailing kind of thing, or, you know, like a really personal like letter or something to like entice them to come talk with us or something.
I'll try to post a message like on the message board or in the campfire, just for the people that weren't here for this like ending part, just so you guys have something to look back at if you're forgetting. Anything else? Adam, Emily, anyone? Do we feel good about the progress that we made today?
Yeah, I think it was a good meeting, guys. I think this was good. I think this is the right amount of time too. That was my sense. Like, we got some stuff done, but if you thought we were going for 3 more hours this afternoon, wouldn't that be a little mind numbing? This is good. So we're gonna figure out our rhythm. So
Awesome. All right. Well, then let's just some closing remarks. Next time we meet for the Friday meeting, the people who will be doing show and tell are Harper, Toria, and Kylie. Only Kylie's here right now, but we'll send a message.
We'll reach out to you guys to remind you.
Yeah. So I don't know. Come up, like spend some time thinking of something funny or cool or just like random. Doesn't even matter what it is. And like make sure you just like have fun talking about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Even the little things, it helps us get to know you better, just as like a human being outside of YPI.
Yeah. I guess that is it. Adam, Emily, do you have any remarks you want to say? All right.
Yeah, no, I just want to say, guys, this is the process. We're all learning a new way of doing things. Adults are acting like they know what's going on. Nah. You know, so keep on just, you know, paying attention to what you can control, what you can influence, and what you need to accept. Respect. Like, subscribe below.
Oh, okay. Thanks, guys, for being engaged. Yeah. Guys, I was looking and watching, and like everyone seemed really attentive today too, and had, just good Zoom etiquette. I know it's hard. So, okay. I hope you have a good weekend.
See you, everyone. Thank you so much for coming.
Guys.